Hey everyone, and welcome to 1.21 Gigawatts. I am Peter, that is Connor, and this is our weekly movie news show in which we look at the week's box office. We look at the new movies in development, comic book movies, we got a horror movie news section, casting news, all that kind of thing. So that's basically what we do. Also, at the end of the show, if we've watched any movies that weren't for review purposes that we just want to casually kind of give thoughts on, we'll do that as well. Have you got a big list again this week? I feel like you've been busy all this week.
I don't think I've got any, but I'm just trying to remember. Let me have a quick check.
Yeah, I don't have any, so I'm happy for you not to have any. That's fine. We've got a new Bowl movie.
No, I haven't had any this week.
We've got a new Bowl movie to watch and do a review on after this, so I'd rather not.
Yeah, no, a lot of overtime and some extra review movies this week.
Yes. So. Yes, we're going to do. So without further ado, we'll always start off with the box office, and we did make predictions last week for 3 movies because there was 3 new movies opening, and those movies were Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, Equalizer 2, and Unfriended, Dark Web.
Yeah. I will say, after seeing in just anecdotally seeing people talking about Mamma Mia, I'm regretting going not going higher.
Well, here was the guesses, right? For Equalizer 2, you guessed 12 million, I guessed 19. For Mamma Mia, you guessed 23, I guessed 27. And then for Unfriended Dark Web, you guessed 14, I guessed 22. So we had Mamma Mia at number 1, Equalizer 2 at number... Oh, you had that at number 3. We had Unfriended at number 2.
Yeah, we had the same order.
Unfriended 2 came in at number 9.
Okay.
So we were way off with that one.
To be fair, we were just going out of the 3 that we had. We didn't guess its place in general.
Yeah, but we guessed it above one of the other ones.
That's true. We guessed it above.
So it's still ridiculous. It's still completely ridiculous. Yeah, it's not even close. That said, the theatre count was actually only about half of what the stuff at the top is, so I'm not sure why that was a smaller release. I assumed that was getting a wide release. Seemingly it was a bit more niche for some reason.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe it'll actually expand next week. Maybe it's one of these, staggered. Releases for whatever reason. But we were wrong completely because Equalizer number 2 was number 1 at the weekend. It made 35.8 million. Well, so I guessed 19, you guessed 12.
Yeah, okay, I didn't realise people gave a shit about this movie, clearly.
Number 2 was Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again. So again, you guessed 23, I guessed 27, the actual amount was 34.3 million. So both of those...
I knew I should have gone higher.
So both of those were mid, because I remember you critiquing me, and I said, oh, I was going for like a healthy spread, where like... Now admittedly, Unfriended really wasn't part of that spread, but... My thinking was kind of right in that, okay, they're both going to do kind of reasonable.
Yeah.
And I think 34, 35 for the two of them is pretty reasonable.
It's ironic that I talked you into going higher than me for Mamma Mia.
You did talk me in.
You were going lower than me now, and then I was like, yeah, probably should be higher.
Yeah, but well, Equalizer 2-1. Number 3 was Hotel Transylvania 3 Summer Vacation with 23.1 million. Number 4 was Ant-Man and the Wasp with 16.1 million. Number 5 is Incredibles 2 with 11.5 million. Has that hit $1 billion yet? Because that's been sneaking up there. 940 million worldwide at the time of recording. So it's getting there.
Probably going to get there.
Number 6 is Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom with 11 million. Just not even 0.1, just like 11 million and 5,000. That's at 1,196 million worldwide. So that's raked it in. And
very impressive, yeah.
Next up, Skyscrapers at number 7 with 10.9 million. That ain't doing so hot. That had a bad opening weekend. It did okay in China this week, so it's maybe not going to be a complete disaster worldwide. It's actually 131 million worldwide. So it's not really broke even, because the rule is that you have to double the budget to break even when it comes to Hollywood grosses. But it's at least exceeded what the budget figure is.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine. Thanks to China, it'll be okay. It won't be a huge success, but it'll be alright.
So it's something. Number 8 is The First Purge with 4.9 million. Number 9 is Unfriended Dark Web with 3.4 million. And number 10 is Sorry to Bother You with 2.8 million, which is pretty solid for that. So, yeah, that's your top 10.
So, yeah, we really overshot Unfriended.
We overshot Unfriended and then undershot the other 2.
Yeah. What were the guesses for Unfriended again?
I guessed 22. And you guessed 14. So even you were over by 10.
Even I was way over, yeah.
I just assumed because horror movies are doing quite well recently, so I had a good feeling, but apparently that's not one.
I do remember saying that. I didn't think it'd do that well because I just don't think people care.
I'm
about
actually
the second
curious.
and
What did
but
Truth or Dare do when that came out?
hopefully shit all.
I don't think it did.
Because
It came out on a Friday the
looks like-
13th. I feel like
Yeah, okay.
it opened at 18 million.
It's not amazing.
Yeah, that's still 18 too high. I mean, just look out for the next Screams After Midnight for my and Tim's thoughts on Truth or Dare. I dare you to watch that review. And as the movie
I
told
dare
us,
you to use proper grammar and say Tim and I.
piss off. And as the movie told us, is that if you don't do it, the demon will take over your body and kill yourself. So, do the dare. Watch the review.
It's a fair warning.
That's just a tease. That's just a tease of the stupidity in that movie. So that's the box office, short and sweet. I mean, actually, do we have anything to predict next weekend? I don't know if we do. Nothing to spring into mind, but I'll look at the release schedule on Box Office Mojo.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Oh, we do. We got two things to predict. We have Mission Impossible Fallout, and we have Teen Titans Go to the Movies, are both out next week.
Mission Impossible's already?
It's the end of July.
For some reason, I thought that was like mid-August.
Oh no, I don't think it was ever
I don't
August, but yeah. So we got two things to guess. So MIF and TT Go.
Okay. Man, I don't even know where to start with Teen Titans.
Yeah, I feel like that could be anything from a really sort of lukewarm like 20 up to like, oh, this actually surprisingly pulled in all the kids and made like 70-80 million.
Yeah,
I think it
exactly.
could be anywhere in that spectrum.
I'm just thinking. I mean, it's summer holidays, give or take, right? I don't know the school schedules, but I assume so.
Yeah. I guess I'll split the difference and I'll go with 50, which might be silly high. I'm not even sure, but
For which one?
Teen Titans Go.
Okay.
I'm thinking 50 for that, and I'm thinking 85 for Mission Impossible. That's my guess.
Okay. I'm gonna go 70 for Mission Impossible.
You're always lower. You're always more skeptical.
I am. That said, just in vain hope, I'm gonna massively overshoot Teen Titans Go in the same way that I massively overshot Incredibles, just because I want it to do so well that I'm hoping my prediction just becomes true by making it somehow. So I'm going for 60 for Teen Titans Go.
All right, and we'll see how laughably bad those predictions are next week.
Probably very, because I don't think it's been marketed that heavily.
Yeah, I think that's fair. So, so if it does bomb, I win because I have the lower bet.
No, that's true,
Yeah.
and I kind of expected it not to do that great, but I just want it to do so well. I want it to prove that DC films can be fun and succeed.
That's the thing, though. Even if it doesn't do well, I don't think it proves that that's not true. It just proves that they need to market it as well.
No, that's true, but be fun and succeed. It
Yes,
could be
but
it could be an excellent movie, and
Oh,
and
it
be
can
fun.
be, but to succeed, it still has to do well, which would also require marketing and require.
It would. I feel
all
like
such
there's
things.
no faith in it at Warner Bros. For whatever reason.
Yeah. Anyway, so let's move on to the actual news. We have comic book movie news to kick off with. This is something that I almost forgot to put on because it was right after we did last week's news, like maybe the next day, that I almost didn't go far back enough to include this. But we have a rumored main cast list, not cast list, character list for Birds of Prey, and this is notable for a couple of reasons. So obviously, we knew Harley Quinn was going to be in there, and this roster, according to the Wrap, is going to also include Huntress, Black Canary, Renee Montoya, and Cassandra Cain. Now, as a DC fan, yes, it's weird that Barbara Gordon's not there. I mean, I guess it makes sense in that they're developing a Batgirl movie at the same time. And
Allegedly.
Allegedly. I mean, even this one's allegedly, but I mean, I suppose Margot Robbie's attached, so it's arguably more.
This was probably going to happen. The Batgirl one's already had its fair share of trouble.
Yeah, but they did hire a new writer, though.
They did.
So
they did.
It still exists.
Doesn't mean we're ever going to see it.
That just goes without saying for these DC movies, though. Until we see them in production, grain of salt.
No, until I see a trailer, it doesn't exist. Aquaman didn't exist until this weekend.
I don't quite agree with that. I was pretty confident it existed for a while. So yeah, it's weird that Barbara's not there, because if you don't know, Birds of Prey started off with Barbara Gordon as Oracle with Black Canary. It was just those two, and then Huntress came into it later, and then some other characters, dipped in or out here or there. But
they've dabbled.
Yeah, but that's the trio. That's the main trio. It's Barbara Gordon, Huntress, and Black Canary. So to not have like all three of those is weird. To have Harley apparently being the lead of this movie is also extremely weird. However, also as a DC fan though, I can't say I'm not happy with all these names. Like, I like Huntress, I like Black Canary. Those make sense. They should be in a Birds of Prey movie. I also like Renee Montoya, and I love Cassandra Cain. So
what's not to like?
Yeah, there's no information as to whether if Montoya and Cain will be like, whether that's questioning Batgirl or questioning Orphan or just Cop and Orphan. Or
I would expect Cop and maybe Orphan.
Yeah, very possibly. I can almost see them doing a thing though, because I've been saying they should do this in the comics for a while. Is that there's no reason not to have. It may not necessarily be called Batgirl, but I can actually see her being in her Batgirl outfit because it just looks better on screen.
Normally, I would agree, but they've got an actual Batgirl movie in production, allegedly with Barbara. So, and we know what Warner's like with not wanting to have multiple characters around of the same. So, I think they avoid that entirely.
They might. All right, one can hope. Also, I've actually they should call, if they're going to go call Cass Batgirl, like just in general, they should call her Silent Night. With a K, obviously.
I'm down for that.
That is a cool name. It fits her perfectly, because if you don't know Cassandra Cain, she doesn't talk much. She learned to fight before she learned to speak, so her language is quite limited. Obviously, as time goes on, it gets better, but she tends to speak in short sentences and short bursts. She's a silent and deadly, but not actually deadly because she doesn't kill, because she's a bat character, and bat characters don't kill. Are you listening to me, Titans? Are you listening to me, you piece of shit? I'm over it. All right.
Wrong show, Pete.
Wrong show. Yes. So yeah, and there's no really state or anything like that yet, but hey, that's what's up. It also mentioned actually this report that the villain will be a Batman villain who's not appeared in a film before. Actually, the exact phrasing is on the big screen before, but that still just means film.
Yeah. Okay.
So there's still a lot of big ones that could be, really. I mean, if you think about, we've never had Hugo Strange.
Clayface, have we?
Sorry?
Clayface. No, no Clayface.
Never had Clayface. I've never had him in a TV show. Never mind a movie. Not counting animated stuff, obviously.
Yeah.
Clayface, Hugo Strange, Man-Bat. Yeah.
I feel like that one's less likely, admittedly, but
if they're trying to take something from the recent Detective run, then Clayface would maybe make some sense with Cass being
I think
there.
that's why it kind of sprung to mind.
But I don't know if they're going to have like a sympathetic villain per se.
Yeah.
I can see someone. I can see someone like Black Mask, actually.
Yeah, I'm trying to think who's a big enough threat that you have to get all these together. I don't think Hugo Strange is enough for 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah, but Harley's only got a mallet. I mean, people might love Harley Quinn, but she's not actually that useful.
No, she's the wild card.
Yes, but apparently in this case, the leader. I thought that even.
Deep breaths.
Out of that team, it should be Black Canary leading the team.
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt.
Out of that list, Harley should be the one who has no authority. She is literally just a wild card who's there to punch things.
Maybe that's what it'll actually be. They're saying lead because lead character, but not lead of the team.
Okay, sure. She still shouldn't be the lead of the movie, but
no,
whatever.
But Harley sells for some reason.
Harley does sell. Alright, so moving on, speaking of DC, the Todd Phillips Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie has a release date, believe it or not, and it's actually sneaking out before Wonder Woman 1984. It's coming out on October 4th, 2019, which is like a month before Wonder Woman comes out. We're going to go from having no DC, well actually no, we'll have one DC movie this year with Aquaman, to having 3 next year.
Admittedly, Aquaman's still only just sneaking in December.
Yeah. I mean, year to year, like we'll have 4 DC movies in 13 months.
Yeah. what have we got next December? No, we within 12 months.
Oh,
So.
12. You're right. No, because I'm thinking November to November. I'm thinking if you
It's
could.
December to November, isn't it?
Is that one December?
Yeah.
Oh, fair enough then. I was thinking it was November, so that's why. So my math was
No, I'm
right.
pretty
I just
sure
had
it's
the wrong
December.
month.
Yeah.
All right. So, okay. I guess this feels like a little indie, like almost like a little indie, like dark film project they're doing with this. The Black
It
Label.
makes it maybe a little more interesting that they can. It's clearly lower budget. They can sneak it out and get it done.
I mean, I think the most promising thing is the idea of Joaquin Phoenix going all full batshit insane Joker does sound kind of potentially interesting.
It does. I don't know if I have any faith in them to actually do it well.
Yeah, I see. I never really wanted a Joker origin story, which is why it's like.
I think that's the part I hate the most. If you just said it's a Joker movie, I can be okay with that. But a Joker origin movie specifically is kind of shitty in concept.
Yeah, don't like knowing what his past is. Like it'd been a mystery. Hollywood does not like mysteries for some reason, even though it makes so many things better. Anyway, so next up, a little update on Spider-Man Far From Home. Turkish-born actor Numan Akar has been cast. Not a lot of details, it just says he's been cast as Dimitri. However, if you know the comics, there is a Dimitri Smerdyakov, aka Chameleon, who was a supervillain in the early Spider-Man issues, so there's a good chance that's probably who's playing.
Fair enough. Couldn't have told you that. Don't know who the actor is.
I mean, I've heard of Chameleon. I couldn't have told you that was his name, though. I mean, I'm not that familiar with the old Spider-Man stuff.
Yeah, I know. Spider-Man's a bit of a blank spot for me, to be honest.
I'm expecting this to be kind of like how Scorpion was in the first movie, where he's like in a small, like sort of mid-level role, where he's like there for like the plot, but he's not the main. But Jake Gyllenhaal's been cast for Christ's sake. He's going to be the main bad guy.
He's the proper villain. Yeah.
Just kind of like how Michael Keaton was the main bad guy in the first one. So that makes sense. So moving on, and I mean, I didn't want to put this first because I didn't want to get into the serious, heavy, topic first. But so James Gunn this week was fired from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 after some of his older tweets from about 2010, 20,
There's a range to 09 to 11. I
09
think
to 11, right? That were they were long deleted, but someone grabbed some screenshots, and he's been fired because these tweets were basically really, really bad jokes, to put it simply, with subjects ranging from paedophilia to rape to the Holocaust. And they're all, if you've read any of them, I'm not going to repeat any of them, but they're all awful.
Pretty
right?
poor taste.
Yeah, they're all terrible, and like to the point where I don't even know what the joke's supposed to be. I'm just looking at it going, what? I don't get it. I don't get what was supposed to be funny about it. But he was fired this week, and obviously the reaction to this has been kind of big in all directions, might I add. What's really kind of makes this a little bit more complex. There's a few factors, some of which details I'm not even entirely sure on still, but they were specifically brought to light by I don't have the dude's name in front of me, but a right winger who wanted to get back at James Gunn because James Gunn is a liberal who's anti-Trump and often tweets out anti-Trump sentiments and support for liberal causes, and this was a way to try and take him down a peg or two. So they sort of tracked down the old tweets and basically hoping that what happened to Roseanne would happen to him.
Yeah,
it's kind of
pretty much.
And this is what's happened. Disney have fired him because of what the tweet said, and so we're in this place now where there's a lot of support for him. There's a lot of actors and stuff in Hollywood that are speaking up for him, and the debate over this and whether or not Disney did the right thing is kind of raging throughout the internet at the moment. I was hesitant to really have an opinion on this when it first broke. I think this is a complicated thing to talk about just from a personal perspective, because my worry is that any inkling I have to want to try and not crucify him, right, is hypocritical, because if this was someone I didn't like making those tweets, because those tweets are awful, there's nothing good about those tweets.
Yeah, of course.
I would feel like I'm just doing it because I like him as a filmmaker. and I don't want to do that, right? So when it first broke, I didn't know all the facts, I didn't know what was really going on beyond just there was these tweets and he's been fired by Disney, and I didn't want to necessarily like. So my stance immediately was, well, okay, I see the tweets, I saw the tweets, I'm like, okay, these are awful. I don't really blame Marvel and Disney for taking that action. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that I think that was the right call to make overall. I don't necessarily think they weren't being fired now, because there's a lot of other factors get into this. First of all, so here's where I'm fuzzy. I don't know if you know this information.
Yeah.
So these were deleted a while ago, right? These were deleted years ago,
yes.
Like 6 years ago or something like that. Just before Guardians came out, I think, is when he went back and kind of like deleted a bunch of his old tweets.
He didn't delete just these specifically. He deleted like every tweet he'd ever made before a certain date. It was basically a fresh start to his Twitter. Right. So it wasn't like he was hiding these specific things.
Oh well, I mean that's sure. I mean you could debate, you could argue that he's hiding.
Oh no, it's probably easier just to delete everything.
Yes,
don't get me wrong. I'm not disputing.
Yeah, that's the easy way to do it. It's just because it was just harder to find them.
Yeah, I just want to say it wasn't like he cherry picked just these ones and went, oh well, get rid of those. It was everything went. So
where I'm fuzzy on this is that I don't know if Disney knew about these tweets when they hired him, or when Marvel hired him, right? I think that changes my opinion as to whether or not they made the right call. If they knew when they hired him and decided that it was okay and that he'd shown that he wasn't like that in it, because this is the key thing here, is I think James Gunn, his response to this coming out has been fairly mature and fairly like, I regret everything I said back then. I was trying to be provocative. I still don't understand why he ever thought any of that was going to be remotely funny, but he's said he's grown since then, and to be fair, he's not posted anything like that, to my knowledge, in the last 6-7 years, right?
Yeah.
Right, so...
Well, I mean, it would have come up this week if he had.
Sure, yeah, it would have come up this week, no doubt. Now, sometimes he does have a weird sense of humour that I don't always necessarily like his jokes. Like, I like his films, but sometimes he'll crack a joke on Twitter. Not that something that's as bad as any of these, but just something like, I don't really get why that's supposed to be funny. He's kind of... He likes to poke the bear, if you will, with certain topics. Yeah. But I like him as a filmmaker, and... He has come out and he's not necessarily like spoken against the decision, really. It's nothing I've read from in the last couple of days is necessarily sounding like he's like, oh, this is an outcry that this has been done to me.
Because it makes him look petty if he's the one that's saying that.
True. Because and the reason why I think it is, I think because my opinion to a point is that obviously you should be allowed to change and you should be allowed to grow and prove that you've become someone better, right? And and because of that, and I think he has shown that by not doing anything like that in the last 6-7 years, because of his response now, I think he'll be fine going forward. I don't think his career's done. I don't think he's blacklisted like all over Hollywood or anything like that. I know he had a planned announcement at Comic-Con with Sony. They got pulled, but the movie wasn't cancelled. At least as far as we know, the movie wasn't cancelled. It was just
at least not yet. No.
But you have to admit, it's a bad time to announce a movie by him 2 days after that broke. Yeah. So I don't think his career is up this stuff, and I don't necessarily think he should have been fired for these reasons. But at the same time, I don't necessarily blame Marvel and Disney, assuming that they didn't know in the first place.
This is where it gets murky, because I mean, in my opinion, I even regarding that, I personally kind of think it's bullshit, because I think he deleted them for a reason, not to hide them, but more presumably he was ashamed of them. He changed as a person, was like, do you know what? They were poor taste. I don't want that. No, I don't want that to reflect who I am anymore.
I absolutely get that. I think where it gets murky here, though, is when you're a public figure and you are a famous person like this. I think hide whatever your reason was for deleting them, right? I think it looks like you're hiding them to some people, no matter what, right?
That's fair. But if I recall, because I've done a bit of reading during this this week, these tweets actually came up, this 6 years ago before he deleted them. They came up and they surfaced then, and it wasn't a huge backlash at the time because obviously we hadn't had the Me Too movement, etc. It wasn't as in the public consciousness as it is today, and he put an apology then for them and deleted them. So Disney presumably knew, right?
Yeah, that does change my opinion somewhat. If they knew and they'd already made the choice that it was okay, and he'd shown to them that he was worth hiring, and then they've just went back now because of the public backlash, then I have more of a problem with it. Because then... because because that was the thing. I was really trepidatious about just sort of trying to take his side in any way at first, because I didn't want to just take his side because I like his movies. Because I don't want to like just pick sides based on who I like from their work. If I'm going to be against someone making crude jokes like that, you know,
that's fair. I mean,
you know.
from I know I've actually defended, not like to this extent. You know, I've defended people who I don't like in the past for similar sort of circumstances.
Yeah.
Where, you know, I think. For me at least anyway, again, this is all, you know, my personal opinion, is that, you know, okay, so he'd made those jokes, they were awful, but he'd shown that he'd changed, and therefore, why punish him now? What's the point? All you're doing, in my opinion, is saying to people, going, yeah, don't bother changing, what's the point? It's just going to be brought up anyway, right?
Well,
the difference to highlight, you say, oh, you know, this was in response to the Roseanne thing. She was making those comments now. They were a reflection on her current character. This is not a reflection on James Gunn's current character.
And that's not even just the point, though. Like, let's say they were both made now or they were both made in the past. Roseanne's is still worse either way, because a racist tweet is still part of racism. A joke about paedophilia is not actually being a paedophile, as poor taste as it may be.
You would not believe the amount of people I have seen say, oh, well, he's clearly a paedophile. I'm like, yes, because paedophiles announce that to the world.
So they were never on the same playing field. They never were.
No,
so it's I think it's more complex. I think one thing I do want to make clear right now, though, is regardless. So let's say Disney didn't know and they made this call now based on finding out, right? Assuming they didn't know, I will accept that is the consequence of like, you know, deleting those tweets. And although by the sounds of it there was already a public hubbub about them a long time ago, in which case this is completely moot, but I would accept that was the consequence for hiding them. But, you know, I think his career will be fine, right? And I still think it will be fine. My problem, obviously, what I have a big problem with here is the fact that someone weaponized old tweets and almost in a way to use what liberals use against them, like to use liberals' own morality against someone that they don't like as an attack. That part sickens me, and I mean that's a whole debate that's not even movie related to go into, but like, you know, that part, like, none of that is remotely cool or anything. Like, I like that. The more that was uncovered, because at first it was just, oh, here's tweets, and then the more you hear about it and you're like, okay, so this is who dug up the tweets, this is why they dug up the tweets. This was nothing but a vengeful act in looking for the start. I mean, advice to anyone, basically ever, never put something on the internet that you're not willing an employer, you wouldn't want an employer to read, because whether or not you're famous or not, they might read it at some point.
Yeah,
that's my advice to everyone, basically.
It is, and I think that's kind of bullshit in general. I mean, people say stupid shit all the time. You know, when they're out with friends, right? You say something stupid. 5 years later, someone went, "Oh, you said that," and you'd be like, "Well, I've changed since then, right?" I think, why would you hold a comment you made 5 years ago against someone now, unless they were clearly the same person? Like, if they changed, then you don't hold that comment against them. That's the problem with the internet. Is it's a history of those comments.
It is, which is why I say my advice would be just don't just think about what you're putting. I think it's maybe a lesson to be a bit more self-conscious about the stupid things you do say, particularly on the internet when it's everything's recorded.
It is, but I think that's why I think it's kind of bullshit. Because if your employer said to you, "Oh, we heard you made a pretty shitty joke 5 years ago," you'd be, Okay,
here's a different question though. What if it's not a joke? Like, what if you said something on the internet 5 years ago that was actually like white supremacist or something, something like that, and it wasn't a joke, it was just your beliefs at the time, right?
See, that's fair. I've read interviews with people who used to be white supremacists, right? And and they talk about it being a cult and being indoctrinated in, and at the time they believed, and it was only later where they realize the reality, and now they talk against it, and that's why they're doing these interviews. They're actively fighting against the white supremacy now, right? That movement.
I mean,
do you hold that against them?
Well, no, I'm thinking from the perspective of an employer, right? if you discovered this, you had no idea that Jim, right, that Jim used to be into this stuff, right, and you found out. At the very least, you would expect the employer to call them into the office and talk to them about it, right? At the very least.
No, you would. But if Jim went, do you know what? Yeah, 5 years ago, I meant that. But I'm a changed man. I've been, campaigning against that since, because James Gunn is clearly a changed man since those comments.
But you're talking about really ideal circumstances where they're actively showing in an everyday way that they're against what they said in the past. What if it's someone who isn't actively... I mean, they might not be into it anymore. They're just quiet about it now.
No, that's fair enough. That's different. But I think the key situation here with James Gunn is, like you say, this was an act because he is outspoken.
Oh, sure, no. I'm not arguing about
that.
James Gunn, though. I'm arguing against you saying that under no circumstances anything you said 5 years ago should be held against you. I think there are circumstances where you can hold something that you said 5 years ago against you, depending on what it is and how extreme it was.
That's right. Under no circumstances is extreme. I'm not sure I said those.
You never said those words
admit.
exactly, but that's what it was coming across as. Is that
I think it should never be a blanket. Just you said that, so therefore.
Oh, sure.
I don't think that's ever the case. I think it should always be in context of the situation today.
But I think it's very important that just because someone can change in 5 years, someone can change in 10 years. Someone
doesn't mean they will.
Yeah, someone can just as equally not change in 5 or 10 years. And everyone should be allowed the opportunity to change. And James Gunn has done a pretty decent job of showing that over the last time period. Now, should he have been fired? I don't think so.
No.
If Disney knew about it before and were okay with it and then fired him anyway, that's just straight up bullshit. If they didn't and made the call now, I understand it as an employer protecting their image, and because I think from James Gunn's perspective, I think the way he should probably look at it, assuming that this wasn't like Disney going back on something they already knew, is he like I've been saying, he should maybe just accept that as okay, this is a consequence for a past mistake, but clearly I've shown myself since then to be who I am now, and it'll help me going forward.
I think part of the problem here with Disney specifically is it's very hypocritical, given that they just kind of had that thing with Johnny Depp. They keep hiring, and there's been many an allegation about him over the last couple of years.
As far as just for the record, I do not think anyone should be hiring Johnny Depp, but that's.
Oh no, yeah. I agree. I'm not disputing that. I'm just saying it stinks of really being very specifically. Like they never take this action until now against James, and it feels like the wrong choice in line with their decisions.
Yeah, it feels very like, okay, if you're above a certain threshold, we won't touch you because you're too powerful. But if you're below a certain threshold, you'll be the ones who are punished to at least show that we're doing it, to show that we're playing ball with everyone. It feels
like they're trying to make an example out of him because they're not, because Johnny Depp's still there. Because Last is leaving at the end of the year, but they didn't really do anything about it. And because of that, like, well, we need to make an example out of someone. Oh, well, at least tweets about James Gunn, perfect.
Yeah,
that's kind of how it feels.
Yeah, so it's not a great situation in any way,
it's not.
Shape or form. Because what I've been saying since is that I do think he has changed since those tweets, and I don't like. And the funny thing is like I liked his films during that period. Like I like Slither, I like Super. This was like knee deep in that period when he was making these really bizarre, like awful jokes. I still look forward to more of his movies. Like this is not someone who I don't want to watch his movies now because he's revealed himself to be this. Like it's not like that at all.
No. If anything, it's kind of made me go, well, I hope Guardians 3 is kind of shite. Just so that they kind of get Disney kind of get what they deserve for making the wrong decision, in my opinion.
Yeah, those petitions and all that. And I genuinely wonder if how does Feige feel about this? Like, was he on board with this decision? Did he? I mean, I don't know if he would have a say in it, but does he agree with it? Is he like sitting here like
just scrambling, going shit? What do I do now?
Yeah, is he angry right now because he doesn't agree with it? Like, I'm curious as to what his opinion is on this right now.
As you said, there's been a lot of outspoken celebrities, actors, people who've worked with him. I think the only one from Guardians who has been very outspoken is Dave Bautista.
Yeah, I saw that earlier. Yeah, he's outspoken.
He
Yeah.
he's been very loud about his support for James Gunn, and honestly, I think for like people like him, it's probably only contracts that's stopping him, just walking in
Oh
support.
yeah, all those actors are under contract. They cannot leave. They would all
No,
be
they can't.
sued to shit if they tried to walk from Guardians 3 or any of the Marvel movies they're contracted
But
for.
I don't know if all of them would, because obviously none of the others are X-Men. But him specifically, with the way he's talking, I think if he could, he'd be walking.
Yeah, very possibly. But then again, I suppose it maybe comes down to like, okay, he's mad at the head honchos at Disney making this call, but I mean, is again, like, let's assume Feige like isn't like for this call. He just has to kind of go with it as well. Like, does Bautista respect him and like everyone at Marvel who's not been involved in this decision, not
Quite
to
possibly,
like, so there's obviously lots of facets
it's
to it.
it's balanced from their perspective with what they can do.
Yeah, I don't know. It obviously this came out of nowhere this week. Because I didn't really see because the news about the tweets came up like a day before the firing, and I didn't really see them, and I just like stumbled on the internet, and I was like, James Gunn's been fired. I was like, oh, okay, what's that? Wait, what? what's happening?
Yeah,
and I had to look into it. So no, we'll see. We'll see what comes.
I think it's also just because he is so passionate about these movies, the way he talks about them, the way everything he says about them, and it feels like it's really vindictive.
Yeah, it's making me think. You remember Momoa was under fire like a year or two ago because he joked about getting to rape people on Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
at a convention, no less, in front of a room full of people.
Yeah, a bad time to make that joke, Momoa.
Yeah, well, it's always a bad time to make that joke.
I mean, it's always a bad time, but that's a really bad time to make that joke.
So, I mean, I don't even know. Let's move on. Let's move on to happier things that aren't as charged. So we have some more comic book news. Graphic novel Under, which is about mutant creatures lurking in the sewers beneath a major US metropolis, is coming to the big screen. Franco-Belgian comics powerhouse Media Participations Group, Titan Comics, and UK producer Born Wild are bringing it to life. Under was created by prolific French. Yeah. Under was created by prolific French writer Christophe Beck and his regular illustrator collaborator Stefano Raphael. Set in the near future, and the city's vast sewer complex, which have become a war zone complete with mutant spiders and crocodiles, disgraced former detective Jericho, just one word, Jericho, leads a subterranean police force attempting to preserve a semblance of order. Sandra Yateman, a young female scientist, embeds herself with Jericho's team to disdain, and they battle to stop the underwater carnage from spreading to the ground above. So that sounds kind of cool, I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of into this.
It does. I've never read any of Beck's stuff, but there's been a good few things where I'm like, this sounds up my alley. I should really check this out, and I've just never got around to it.
Subterranean police force because there's mutant spiders and alligators sounds like a blast. I'm not going to lie.
It does, doesn't it?
I'm into it. And then the last little bit from the comic book side of things is that this is just quick, but Sony officially pulled the Crow remake from its schedule. I mean, it was expected because
we kind of talked about it a few weeks ago.
It fell through, but there it is. So moving on to the rest of the news then. So first up, Sony announced a couple of dates and moving dates and stuff. So Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Quentin Tarantino's movie that's coming out next year, has been pushed forward a few weeks. It was in August, now it's going to come out on July 26th, 2019. Zombieland 2 has been dated for October 11th, 2019. And Little Women is going to open on Christmas Day, 2019. So Sony putting some movies out.
Which one was that last one? I know we talked about it a few weeks ago. I'm just who was attached to that one?
Oh, I can't remember.
Okay, I thought you might remember.
I'm not even close to remembering who was attached to projects. You kidding me? Right, next up, Timothée Chalamet is in final talks to star in the Denis Villeneuve directed Dune, the sci-fi.
I believe it's Villeneuve.
Villeneuve, okay. Denis Villeneuve.
Yes, but it's cool. I mean, Chalamet, I like him well enough from what I've seen. I don't have a super strong opinion. I think he's solid.
Chalamet will play the lead, which in the David Lynch version was Kelly MacLachlan, a young nobleman named Paul Atreides, the central figure in the series of sprawling epic novels first published in 1965. It is set in the far future involving worlds beyond Earth, ruled over by competing feudal families who control access to a drug called melange, known more popularly as the spice. The drug gives its users heightened consciousness and an extended lifespan at the cost of crippling addiction and fatal withdrawal. Spice, use of which makes interstellar travel possible, is found only on the desert planet of Arrakis, aka Dune, and as such is the most valuable commodity in the galaxy. So we knew that because we'd watched the David Lynch movie, but there's a...
Yeah, it was one of the earliest influx movies that we did, right?
We did. It's a bit of a mess, but it's kind of a wonderful mess with lots of nice things about it.
Yeah,
at least for me.
I mean,
there's a point.
I'm so down for another one.
Oh yeah, there's a point in that movie where Kelly MacLachlan is riding a giant worm as this bombastic main theme is playing over the score, and like, I'm in. Like, you know, I'm in.
Yeah, I don't know quite why, but I'm in.
And then quickly, Jennifer Connelly has been added to the cast of Top Gun 2 Maverick. So no information on who she's playing yet, but that's something that's happening.
Cool.
Next up, after months of dueling for ownership of 21st Century Fox, Comcast has officially pulled out of the battle, and he conceding the prize to Disney. Iger responded, "Our incredible enthusiasm for this acquisition and value it will create has continued to grow as we have come to know 21st Century Fox's stellar array of talent and assets. We're extremely pleased with today's news, and our focus now is on completing the regulatory process and ultimately moving toward integrating our businesses." So Iger's just in a room off somewhere having a wank because he's just in a really
Pretty
good
much. I believe on top of this, I saw this week that there were some shareholders for Fox who were suing the company, because they didn't believe that Disney had set out a good enough plan, a clear enough plan to buy them, and they weren't convinced of their investment. But they've pulled out of that lawsuit as well this week.
Disney paid them off.
Pretty much.
You don't need a plan. You usually does to pay you a check. Just because he's a check for.
That's what they were after the whole time, I think, by the sounds of it.
It was basically here. You can write in all the digits. You're limited to 9. Fill it in.
So the worst part is, Disney can probably just afford that.
You probably can.
They basically just print money, right?
Yeah. Oh, 9's a bit extreme, but yeah. So I mean, 7 figures.
Extreme, but...
Yeah, 7 figures is in the millions. So yeah, 7 figures here. Just right. I mean, why wouldn't you pick 9? That's as high as you can go. 9,999,999. That's what you pick.
Obviously.
That's your value right there. I love the idea that someone picked 9 million, and then like, the other investor who came out was like, "Oh yeah, did you write in the top figure?" I did. I got 9 million. Like 999,9999. It's like, damn it!
Yeah,
I've missed out on almost another million.
Chump change for the mouse, though.
Sure. Because it's another million. You're just $1 off one more million. I mean,
yeah. You can put that dollar in yourself.
Yeah, exactly. You're fine. Like I can afford to add the dollar to be a 10 times millionaire. It's fine.
I would really hope so. Otherwise, I don't know why you're a shareholder for Fox.
Alright, moving on. So Millerworld, which Netflix owns, announced a bunch of projects this week. They had 2 TV shows announced, which we talked about in the TV news, but they also announced 3 original movies that Netflix are putting out. So here's the 3 movies. Empress is the first one. Queen Emporia is married to literally the worst dictator in the galaxy, King Morax. This is sounding like a video game from the 90s. After escaping his planet with her children, Emporia and her family must hide from Morax and his army at all costs, even if it takes teleporting from planet to planet to avoid them. This is writer Lindsay Beer, who's worked on the Kingkiller Chronicles, which is not out yet, as well as Sierra Burgess is a Loser, which is not out yet, although that's coming soon from Netflix, as adapting the comic into the film. So what do you think of that first one?
Cool. Yeah, no, it sounds reasonable. This might be one of the only ones that I'm not sure who the artist was on that original book.
Yeah, I've never.
I'm assuming you haven't got that one there.
No, it doesn't actually tell me who the artists are for any of these.
That's very disappointing. I feel like they should be providing you with that information.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's Empress, and then the next one is called Huck. In a quiet seaside town, Huck uses his special gifts to do a good deed each day. His neighbours return the favour, by keeping his abilities a secret. But when a newcomer alerts the media, a firestorm erupts, sending Huck on an adventure that will change everything. Ted Melfi, who's worked on Hidden Figures and St. Vincent, is adapting the comic.
Cool. I've never tried this one. I recall this one. This was the Raphael Albuquerque one, and it was kind of sold as a lonely Superman book.
Interesting. That maybe gives me an idea of what the tone's going to be, perhaps. Yeah. And then the third
for the
one,
record, Empress was Stuart Immonen. Just
go.
to give them the credit that they deserve on these titles.
And then the third movie that's going to happen is called Sharky the Bounty Hunter. Set in a brilliant new sci-fi universe, Sharky is a blue-collar bounty hunter tracking criminals across the galaxy in his converted rocket-powered ice cream truck. Aided and abetted by his 10-year-old partner, he is out for the biggest bounty of his career. Sharky the Bounty Hunter will be adapted and published as a Millerworld Netflix comic next year, and writer Michael Bacall, who worked on Scott Pilgrim vs. the World and 21 Jump Street, is adapting adapting the comic into a film script.
Okay. Cool. I'm not familiar with this one at all, actually.
Well, it's not out yet, so.
But I've not even heard of it being announced.
Oddly, I think I have heard of it, but only because I vaguely remember this ice cream truck. This rocket powered ice cream truck. I remember that phrase, so I think I heard this like when it was announced, maybe.
Okay, I must have missed that one, but I mean, sounds alright.
Honestly, this one sounds the most fun to me. Honestly, I'm just disappointed that Sharky's not actually like a shark. I was getting when I read the title, I thought, oh, it's a Jabberjaw type situation.
Yeah, that would have been cooler.
Yeah, like a CGI shark that talks and walks. That's what I was hoping for.
Just anthropomorphized sharks.
Yeah. But the guy writing the script worked on Scott Pilgrim and 21 Jump Street, which are both pretty enjoyable movies. So.
Yeah, I love Scott Pilgrim. Jump Street, yeah, it's pretty good.
I like Scott Pilgrim a lot. I don't love it as much as everyone else seems to, though.
Yeah, no, it's one of my favourites.
It's not Hot Fuzz. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, it is. It's better. It's better than Hot Fuzz.
It's not better than Hot Fuzz. Not better.
It is.
Not at all. Not at all. Anyway, so that's all the Millerworld movies that have been announced by Netflix. So yeah, they've got a spate of content coming. Next up, we mentioned this briefly on the TV news because there was also a new TV show attached to it. But we're getting a new Rugrats movie, which is going to be live action with CGI. So I'm assuming the kids will be CGI because they're talking and shit.
Yeah. Does it not specify CGI kids?
No, it just says a live action film featuring CGI characters. So I assume that means the kids.
Okay, that'll be the kids then, yeah.
The Rugrats movie will be written by David A. Goodman and is set to be released on November 13th, 2020 by Paramount Players. Interesting, this is the fourth Rugrats movie. I did not realise there were so many. Obviously all the old ones were all animated, but you got the Rugrats movie in 1998, which introduced Tommy's younger brother Dill. I vaguely remember that character. Rugrats in Paris, the movie, which came out in 2000, which introduced Kimmy and Kira.
I don't think I saw that one.
I think I know who they're do I know who they're talking about? No, because I'm thinking of the twins that were already there, because those twins were there the whole time. So I don't know who Kimmy and Kira are.
No, me either. Not off the top of my head.
And then the third movie was a crossover movie called Rugrats Go Wild, which was a crossover with the Wild Thornberrys, which was from the same creator. So
yeah, that was fun. I liked that one. I definitely saw the first one and the third one.
I definitely never saw the third one. I think by that age I was out of the range for it.
Yeah, see, for me, I have younger brothers, so in case of I've seen a lot of stuff, from a good few years below me. Because
the first two came out when I was 9 and 10. No, 9 and 11.
So
sorry.
just about in the range where you might have seen them.
Yeah. Whereas the third one, I was 14, so I mean.
Yeah.
At that point, I'm not any Rugrats at 14. But hey, so next up we have Jennifer Hudson, Taylor Swift, James Corden, and Ian McKellen are all joining a film. It is a new version of Cats, the musical.
I like everything you just said except James Corden.
What's wrong with James Corden? James Corden's fine.
Oh, he's not. He's awful.
He's like the best part of the last 5 years of Doctor Who.
I don't know how to take you seriously.
That was a great episode.
Corden is awful. He is a mediocre actor. He is a poor entertainer. He's a poor man's Graham Norton. Frankly, is his chat show. And then his singing's not great. I don't know if you've heard it. It's not good.
James Cameron's alright. I have no animosity towards him. Anyway, Tom Hooper's going to direct this, of course, from The King's Speech. Did he do Les Mis as well? Was that him?
Maybe. I never saw Les Mis.
Well, obviously I didn't. I don't like musicals, but which is why I'll not be seeing this. But it's been adapted by Lee Hall, who worked on Billy Elliot. The play follows a tribe of cats called Jellicles?
Yeah, maybe.
Is that how you pronounce it? I assume you know this, no?
I've never watched Cats. I've heard some of the music.
Jellicles. I guess it works because it's like angelical? Jellicles? Is that what it's going for? I don't know. I mean, it's a J, but still. Over the course of one night, as they decide which one of their group will ascend to the Haveside lair and come back to a new life. That's not what I thought what Cats was about. I'm going to have to be honest with you. We're going to send someone to essentially heaven and then bring them back to life. I did not expect that to be the plot of Cats.
Did it make you more interested or not?
Neither. I'm breaking even.
I imagine in your head it was like, I mean, that sounds more interesting than what I assumed it was. But then on the other hand, it's still a musical.
Here's a question. Are these characters all cats, or are they just do they refer to themselves as cats, but they're human beings?
I have no idea. I'm not hugely familiar with Cats. I've heard some of the songs. That's about it.
Because I like cats, so if it was actual cats, like, you know,
that would put me off a little, admittedly.
I might be slightly more interested. If it's just a bunch of people saying, "Oh, he's a cat, he's a fat cat," you know, that terminology, I'm not as into it then. I actually have no idea. I've never seen a clip of Cats or anything.
No, it looks like they're all cats. They're all dressed up as cats.
Oh,
in
good.
In the pictures I'm seeing.
I still don't want to see it, but I mean, it's better than it was.
Yeah, because I thought it was a Andrew Lloyd Webber one. I like a lot of his musicals. Even the ones I've not seen, I like a lot of the music from them. So that leaves me pretty confident. And yeah, you're right. What he did do Les Mis.
There you go. Look at me remembering shit. All right, next up, producer Lionel Wigram has snapped up the film rights to Disney Hyperion fantasy tween novel The Dreadful Tale of Prosper Redding. That's a cool title, actually. It rolls off the tongue really well. It's from New York Times best-selling author Alexandra Bracken. Why is this producer notable, you might ask? Well, Wigram brought J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter series to the studio, overseeing all 8 films, and is also an executive producer on the current Fantastic Beasts. So he's got
some pull.
Yeah, he turned, you know, a mediocre book series into gold before. He can do it again, I'm sure.
You take that back.
I just said that to upset Connor. I don't necessarily even. I mean, I've not read the books.
You've never even read the books, have you?
I'm just saying. I'm just trying to poke the bear. That's all I'm doing.
It's working.
Yeah, good.
Doesn't help I'm drinking in beer. It makes it more susceptible.
So a search is underway for a screenwriter to adapt it. But yeah, so here's your synopsis. Prosper Redding is a 13-year-old who is from a powerful family that has been around for hundreds of years, dating back to the forefathers. The only reason why the family is so wealthy and powerful is that the ancestors made a deal with a demon, Alistar, many years ago, even betraying him and trapping him. The demon is unleashed and is hell-bent on taking the family down. As such, Alistar takes possession of Prosper. Despite being evil and terrible, the demon develops a liking for the boy, and the two of them team up to save their own skins. He's inside Prosper in the form of a white fox. I assume that means that he sees like a white fox around, but it's really
I would assume so, yeah.
It's a weird phrasing. Prosper has allies in his journey in his uncle and his young female cousin Nell, a strong-willed character who has inherited witchcraft talents.
Sounds kind of fun.
This is okay. I mean, it's not like completely like my sort of thing to appeal to, but
yeah. I'm into demons and witches.
A demon who's a bit of an anti-hero who kind of like maybe softens a bit because he likes the kid, or vice versa. Maybe he's just awful the whole time, and it's about, you know, Prosper breaking away from him. Either way, but you got a quirky little 10-year-old who's like a bit of a witch. Like, I can see this been turned into successful box office. Well, prospects, I guess.
Yeah. No, I think it could be all right.
All right. We'll move on to the horror movie section then. So let's do that.
Already?
Already, yeah. You were assuming this was going to be like a super dense show because of Comic-Con, but all the Comic-Con stuff was all trailers, so it was the trailer talk show that was like...
It was, and obviously we had a reasonable comic book section.
Yes, we did. Yeah, a lot of comic book news this week.
So, it makes sense, all right?
Yeah. So first up, James Wan's Atomic Monster and Jason Blum's Blumhouse have joined forces to co-produce Megan, and that's with a 3 instead of an E. All caps, but with the 3's an E. Or an E's a 3, rather. Right, it's Megan. A horror film set to be directed by Housebound Helmer Gerald Johnston. And I did see Housebound, and it was not bad. I didn't love it. The plot kind of went a bit haywire, but it had a really interesting, quirky sense of humour. It was an Australian film, I believe. Or New Zealand, who can tell? But...
How was the direction, though, which is the key point here?
It's been a while, but I remember it looking like a proper movie, and I never felt like... because sometimes, like, when you watch a low-budget horror movie, there's a big gaping void between some directors where this feels like it's a proper professional movie despite the budget, because the person behind the camera knows what they're doing, and then sometimes it doesn't. And you're like, oh, this is essentially a kind of big-budget student movie at this point.
Yeah, and you'd assume with these companies involved, this will probably get a reasonable budget.
Oh yeah, Housebound got a following though. Housebound has like a bit of a... But I remember people were recommending it a few years ago when it came out, so it has a bit of cred. And I think obviously Wan and Blumhouse are kind of the titans of horror right now. So
yeah, definitely.
They are teaming up in this to produce it. The film centers on a brilliant toy company roboticist who uses artificial intelligence to develop Megan, a lifelike doll programmed to emotionally bond with her newly orphaned niece. But when the doll's programming works too well, she becomes overprotective of her friend with terrifying results.
See, that sounds kind of fun.
It does sound kind of fun. And it definitely sounds like something you want someone with a sense of humour directing, not something that's super serious.
Yeah.
So
I do have to question it. Why has it got a 3 in the title?
Because that's kind of robotic and technical looking.
It's not though, is it?
Aye, because it was the third.
You get away with it with what? You get away with it with 1s and 0s, but not with a 3.
Because maybe there'll be a reason in the film. Maybe it's the third one.
I mean, maybe, yeah.
It took 2 prototypes before the third one was the...
Oh, that would be something. I feel like if you're going to put that in the title, you should probably tell me why in the description, at least so I'm not querying it.
No, keep us guessing. I have no problem with that. I don't know what...
Fair enough. I mean...
I have no problem not knowing what the title means until the third act of the movie when I'm watching it.
No, that's fair. Just specifically the 3, usually, because that is usually reserved for third movies that happen to have an E in the title, right?
Well, it's a George Lucas situation. They've written the first 2. They're going to do them later. All right?
Fine. Tell me that and allow it.
Oh, so George Lucas claims he had those all planned. Yeah, right. Full of shite.
Look, there are interviews from a long time ago with general outlines of things. Not details, but outlines.
Yeah. The outline I want from George Lucas is the outline that the police put on the curb after his body's been found.
Look, all I'm saying is
really dark joke.
I read the book adaptation of Return of the Jedi, which was published around the same time.
Just for the record, I'm not actually. I don't want George Lucas to die. Just before anyone thinks I meant that.
Yeah, that was pretty dark.
It was a pretty dark joke, but I thought of the connection from outline to the movie outline around the corpse, and I just couldn't resist making the joke. But continue.
I'm just saying, like when that was published in early '80s, there was stuff about like the the confrontation between Anakin and Obi-Wan that was in that book in the '80s, so it wasn't like it was all out of nowhere. It was planned to some degree.
Why is it all garbage then?
Because he's a poor director. We know that.
Directed the first Star Wars movie. That turned out fine.
As we have talked about in the last few days, saved in the edit. Not disputing that. He's a bad director. He's a great idea man.
Okay, so why couldn't the newer 3 be saved in the edit then?
Because I believe the editor that did the first ones was at the time his wife, and when they split up, she stopped editing his movies, so that's why they all went.
So why aren't Star Wars fans worshipping her? She clearly is the reason why it's any good in the first place.
There probably should be. I'm not disputing that.
Why is George getting all the... This is like Bill Finger with Batman. Like, you get Bob Kane's getting all the credit when Bill Finger actually did all the actual Batman-y parts.
I'm not disputing that. I said Lucas is a good idea man, and I stand by that. I think he's a poor director.
Of course he's a good idea man. He steals them from Akira Kurosawa films. Of course the ideas are good.
Yeah, I can't argue with that.
Anyway, let's move on. So RLJE Films and UMC, I said UMC there. UMC.
Yeah, you did.
Have acquired
you did Ubisoft.
Yeah, I've acquired the North American rights to Jeremy Ungar's directed, or sorry, Ungar. I think that's Ungar. Sounds better. Ungar.
See, now you're changing your mind.
So it's a thriller called Ride, and it stars Bella Thorne from Famous in Love, Jesse T. Usher from Shaft, and Will Brill from the OA. Where's season 2 of the OA on Netflix? Eh? I'm looking forward to that. Get on it. Yeah. So Ride is the feature debut of Ungar, who also wrote the script. It's going to be one of these films that releases on VOD and stuff, as well as the theatre at the same time, sometime later this year. However, here's what it's about. The film follows James Rideshare. Wait, what? James Rideshare driver James. I feel like they added the word James in too early. I think that's a mistake in the article. They put James in twice. No wonder that confused me. Because it says the film follows James Rideshare driver James. So
maybe that's a nickname, Rideshare driver.
What, his name is James, and his nickname is Rideshare.
Well, you can't just call him James if his name's James, can you? You got to call him something else, the poor bastard.
Just call him JJ. That's what JJ is for. It's for people who are called James twice. Right. So
I think usually JJ, they have two different names with the J. Or often one's a junior.
I mean, they can do, but you can't tell me it's perfectly applicable for someone called James.
I mean, that's exactly who should be called JJ. I feel it's uncommon.
That's why if I ever meet a Connor, I'm just going to call him CC and see how he feels about it. So, although PP for me is not exactly much better.
It's not, is it?
Yeah, so the film follows rideshare driver James, which I've never heard of rideshare, but it sounds like some sort of weird Uber-esque.
I think if I'm right here, rideshare is like a thing where you
carpool.
You all agree that you're going somewhere.
Yeah, it's like multiple people get in, but you don't necessarily know each other, right?
Yeah.
So rideshare driver James and his passenger Jessica, when they pick up a charismatic but manipulative Bruno, a night out in LA becomes a psychological war for survival.
That sounds alright.
It sounds good. I like that premise. It sounds like a less assassiny version of Collateral to me, which is a fantastic film, may I add.
Do you know what? One of probably my biggest problem with everything we've just said here is
what?
We just saw Bella Thorne in a trailer when we did the trailer talk, and we said she can't carry a movie.
What trailer was that?
That was the one with the vanishing people that were dead.
All right. Well, I mean, she's not carrying it though. She's one of 3.
Yeah, 1 of 3, but that's a significant role.
Maybe a better director though. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah.
I like the sound of the premise though, so I'm cool.
No, I did too.
So the Conjuring universe just won't die because the third Annabelle movie is definitely happening, and at Scare Diego, which was the horror event at Comic-Con, which I like, Scare Diego. That sounds good.
That's good, but more important, are we getting a third Conjuring movie? Like a proper one?
Yeah, it's still planned. It doesn't seem to be happening super quick because I think Juan's like busy and like all that, but.
Okay.
We're getting a third Annabelle, and it's coming full circle. This one's actually going to be set present day finally, because the first one was a prequel, and then the second one was a prequel to the prequel.
Yeah.
So this one is set present day, and Gary Duberman is writing and directing the sequel, which is described as Night at the Museum but with demons, as Annabelle activates everything in the Warren Museum and terrorizes their daughter. So it sounds like the main character is going to be the daughter.
See, that sounds kind of fun, because I imagine the focus will be away from Annabelle itself, and it'll be on, hey, look at all the other shit.
Yeah, so it sounds like it's going to be like, here's a shit ton of demons.
Yeah.
So it sounds like we were just joking about this, but you could totally get Tessia Farmiga to play the daughter, given that Although you can't now because she's in the Nun. She's in the Nun. She's already in the universe. We can't do
they
that.
already wasted that.
They've wasted her. Damn it. They've wasted her.
Quick, pull the Nun.
Pull the Nun.
Doesn't exist anymore.
So yeah, that's interesting. And the second one was actually much better than the first one, although it was still quite generic and the ending was still super infuriating. But it was much better than the first one. It wasn't like complete garbage like the first one was.
Yeah.
So hopefully this one continues the improvement and we actually get a good movie out of this. And the great thing about this is because it's set after the Conjurings, you could just have this as a standalone, spin-off / sequel to the Conjuring movies.
You don't have to do all the bollocks.
No, you've just got present day.
Things usually
that's it. My thing with Tessia being the daughter actually doesn't quite work because the daughter in present day would probably be in her 40s or 50s. so that doesn't work actually.
That doesn't, no.
No.
Alright, none can continue. It can exist.
What we need is I need to find out if they've got another sister who's just a few years younger or maybe even older than Vera is.
Yeah, that's what you need.
And use her.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Or use her mother if she's an actress. And then she can play her own daughter's daughter.
Oh, yeah, that'll be fun.
But in present day, so the timeline actually makes sense.
Yeah. I haven't seen any of the Annabelle movies. I like the two Conjurings a lot.
Oh, they're good.
And obviously I heard all the shite about the first Annabelle and I went, do you know what? I don't care enough to watch even the second one because I thought, you know me, I have to watch the first one first. And I didn't really want to do that.
The first one's irrelevant until the last 5 minutes. It actually doesn't matter until the last 5
but
minutes.
it doesn't matter because it says Annabelle 2. So I need to see the first one. No.
It says Annabelle Creation, I think, was the title of it.
Okay, I thought it did. But the point is, I know it's the second one.
Aye.
So,
alright. And they're fast tracking this. New Line wanting this out. This is coming out on July 3rd in 2019. Less than a year.
Why July? Why not?
Because horror is all year round.
Sure. If you say so.
Yes. Are you telling me you only want horror movies in 1 month of the year?
No, of course not. But I feel like July, that's the exact point of the year I don't want horror, usually.
To be fair, though,
that's peak summer. That's the worst time for it.
To be fair, though, I'm pretty sure pretty much all the Conjuring Annabelle movies have always been summer.
Were they?
I think so. Most of them have been. I think most of them have been, yeah.
Okay. But I'll have to take your word for it. Weird choice still for me.
I think at least some of them have been, maybe not all of them, but it's not striking me as odd. Like, certainly the Nun's coming. That's a little bit later, September, but I'm pretty sure the last Conjuring was.
Yeah, see, September's fine because you're getting into the darker day. The more darker nights.
Who cares? Once you're in the theater, it's dark anyway.
I care. I'm just checking. The first Conjuring seemed to have been in August.
Summer.
Yeah. I'm checking the second one. Hang on, IMDb failed me when I searched Conjuring 2. It brought me to Conjuring 2 remake. How would it do that? Okay, that was June. That's just as bad.
There you go. Summer. I think the Annabelles were summery.
Yeah, I really disapprove of this.
Well,
I just never noticed before, clearly.
So next up, and I think last up, this is quite a long description, so yeah, just double check. That's the last one. So also at Scare Diego, New Line Cinema and Atomic Monsters. This was previously called The Children, and it's officially been retitled to The Curse of La Llorona. Or Llorona, yeah. It's got two L's together. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but I think it's La Llorona.
Spanish two L's is kind of a Y sound, right?
Is it? You tell me. I don't know.
Like I thought so. Like Poyos, isn't it? It's like P-O-L-L-O-S.
Okay, so that case, the Curse of La Llorona or Llorona.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. So it's been previewed at New Line's second annual Scare Diego Comic Con, and this is based on what they've now revealed as it's based on the Weeping Woman, which I'm sure you've heard of. It's a pretty famous folklore kind of tale. So the official synopsis reveals the backstory as well as a lengthy yet poetic breakdown of what you can expect. So La Llorona, I got it right. The Weeping Woman, a horrifying apparition caught between heaven and hell, trapped in a terrible fate sealed by her own hand. The mere mention of her name has struck terror around the world for generations. In life, she drowned her children. in a jealous rage, throwing herself in a churning river after them as she wept in pain. Now her tears are eternal, they are lethal, and those who hear her death call in the night are doomed. La Llorona creeps in the shadows and preys on the children, desperate to replace her own. As the centuries have passed, her desire has grown more vicarious, and her methods more terrifying. In 1970s Los Angeles, La Llorona is stalking the night and the children. Ignoring the eerie warning of a troubled mother suspected of child endangerment, a social worker and her own small kids are soon drawn into a frightening supernatural realm. Their only hope of surviving La Llorona's deadly wrath may be the disillusioned priest and the mysticism he practices to keep evil at bay, on the fringes where fear and faith collide. Beware her chilling wail. She will stop at nothing to lure you into the gloom, because there is no peace for her anguish, there is no mercy for her soul, and there is no escape from the curse of La Llorona.
Wow, that really was a long description.
It was.
And to be fair, was poetic too. Can't dispute that.
Yeah, they put some pizzazz into it. I will say that after all that, though, I'm basically alright. So they're being haunted by a ghost and need a priest to try and get rid of it. Okay, it's a generic supernatural movie. Thanks for that.
Yeah, I thought the same.
Yeah. But yeah,
but if they put the same amount of effort into the movie that they did in that description,
sure,
then maybe it'll be damn fine.
Half as much even.
Yeah.
Janie Lynn Kinchin is the lead in the horror film, and what's funny is I looked her up because I don't know who that is. I looked it up. This is a kid. This is someone who's like 10. So the lead's
That'd
a kid.
be why you don't know who she is.
Exactly. But they specifically mentioned she's the lead. It's directed by Michael Chavez probably. Michael Chavez. So that's the film.
Cool. I mean, like I said, it sounds kind of generic at its core, but if they can put some heart into it, like they did that description, then I'm kind of in.
I'm actually surprised.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't call it The Weeping Woman. Just because everyone will be able to say that. Again? Sorry?
Oh, right, yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Because they've called it The Curse of La Llorona, and you had to tell me how to say that there. Because no.
And I might be wrong. Admittedly.
And you may be wrong.
I'm going with what I assume. I think I know some basic language rules. I don't know.
But yeah, because The Weeping Woman's a good title. I wonder if it's maybe used or there's a reason why they wanted to avoid that. But whatever.
Yeah, maybe they thought it just sounds a bit, generic because people have heard of that.
Sure.
You want to be,
Yeah,
I mean, maybe there's a good reason.
Usually, movie studios want you to have heard of it, though. They want you to go, "Oh, I recognise that."
Well, yeah, but maybe they'd be like, maybe they want, people have heard of that. They'll think they've seen it before, sort of thing. Whereas they want to feel like they're unique.
That is like the opposite of like most Hollywood thinking. It
is.
They'll think they've seen that before. No, they want the name recognition. That's what all Hollywood talks about: is reboots and remakes and sequels.
Usually I agree, but I feel in the horror side of the industry, they kind of get away with trying to flourish a little bit more.
All right.
It's not as prevalent with reboots, is all I'm saying. I mean, there are a few key examples, don't get me wrong, but it's not as often as the rest of the Hollywood is.
All right. Well, that wraps up the news then. I didn't watch any movies this week outside of review purposes, so we don't have anything else to add. But we do have to go watch another movie for Influx after this, directed by one Uwe Boll, thanks to a Patreon goal which was reached, in which we have to now review an Uwe Boll film. So we're going to go do that. So if we sound a little bit depressed...
I'm grateful to all the patrons, but you're all bastards.
Yeah, and they also got to vote as well. That was the other stipulation, is once we crossed the goal, they were allowed to pick between 4 movies, and they voted and selected Blood Rain. So we're going to go watch Blood Rain. So,
so what else did they get this week?
The patrons, or?
No, just you always do this at the end of the show. Tell them what they got.
I was that segue. Like, am I talking specifically about the patrons, what they got, or is this just general?
I mean, you can tell both. I mean, different content, right? For the public, it's like, well, that's what you get next.
Well, the patrons for Influx got a review of Jaws because it's Shark Week now, so the public will get that on Friday. So you can look forward to that. The public got the last Godzilla film we did on Friday there. That was All Monsters Attack. That was the 10th Godzilla film. Very topical at the moment because there's a new Godzilla trailer out for the next American film, which looked quite good.
And there's a new Netflix Godzilla movie.
That is true, yes, which we're also planning to get to. So you'll be picking up the pace on those Godzilla movies because we need to make sure we get through the next 19 of them before Godzilla King of the Monsters comes out.
Next year or whatever it is.
We've got about a year. So That's
I
actually
think
a lot
it's
of
like
movies to
two a
get through.
month.
Yeah, we have to do 2 a month actually just to get through them. Yeah.
We should probably do another one like next week.
We probably should. I think we have to start churning these out.
Yeah.
Expect more Godzilla
Sorry,
movies.
folks. You're getting more Godzilla.
Yeah, you're
whether
getting
you like it
Godzilla.
or
We need to
not.
hit that deadline. So you got that. Screams After Midnight this past week. What did the folks get? I can't remember. Because this is the problem. Me and Tim have recorded like 4 episodes ahead, so I can never remember what the one that actually went out was.
The one that went out was Motel Hell.
There you go. That was a Patreon pick for the month. That was the thing. You disappeared there for a second. That was my fault.
Because you tried to look at something and Skype's been a dick lately and it's ruined your system and you can't do that anymore.
I can't do it. Well, no, I can look at things. The problem there was that if you hover over your taskbar on Windows, it changes everything on the desktop.
The thing you hover over, yeah.
And it covered your face, so yeah, that's what happens.
Just be glad it was just a plain background and not something worse.
Oh, not something I don't want people to see. Oh no,
Yeah.
my creepy frog fetish collection. No.
But you never know. You never know what could pop up. It's a dangerous game you're playing.
So that was Screams After Midnight. They got Motel Hell. And coming up this week on Screams After Midnight, we've got a new release for home video. We didn't do it at the theatre, but this Wednesday you can look forward to Truth or Dare. Which actually, it was the technical title was Blumhouse's Truth or Dare. That's what it came up as on the screen.
Actually,
yeah, it came up as Blumhouse's Truth. Like, why is he so proud of this one that he's putting his name on it? I don't get it. He's done actual good movies. It's weird.
He has many good movies at this point.
Yeah. So that was strange. And that's about it, right? That's everything. This past week.
Yes, it is.
I will say that the patrons can expect a bonus influx Monday, Tuesday. You can expect a bonus one, as well as the usual one Friday, which will come up as well, so you can look forward to that. But yeah, so of course, go over to patreon.com/MelFuzzTV. You can maybe get us to our next goal, which is for a bonus already cancelled, and then the goal after that is actually a second Uva Bowl movie. So the Uva Bowl goal keeps coming back. Like, we'll keep doing more of them. Every time we hit a 150, number, because that we hit 150, so then we did a Uva Bowl. 250 will be Uva Bowl. 350 will probably be more Uva Bowl, so on.
Yeah, there's enough of the shite to keep going.
Yeah, you can contribute to that. And also feel good that you're supporting and keeping the show going. And you get access to some exclusive stuff, such as 1.21 Extra at the $1 tier, which is every other month, alternating with Almost Cancelled. It's a movie topic show. But then there's also stuff at the $5 tier, which is all the voting stuff and everything else. So have a look. Even if you're not going to be a patron, you can actually look at all the handy lists of all the links for all the shows and the audio feeds, so you can look at that stuff. But if you don't do that, you can also support us by liking, subscribing, commenting, letting us know what you think. Everything else, all of it helps. So thank you very much for watching or listening. We appreciate it. We'll see you guys next time. So thank you once again. Keep watching movies, and goodbye.